Hi, I'm Greg Dell with Dell Disability Lawyers, joined by attorney Stephen Jessup, and today we're going to talk about disability insurance trends in 2023. And Steve, we do these videos all the time talking about very specific topics, specific companies, but today we're going to talk more in general terms. We're filming this basically in April of 2023, so we're 4 months into the year, and we've already started to see what the things are different from the past. So let's go with the first thing that comes to mind for you as to the first trend of 2023 for disability insurance claims that people should be on the lookout for.
In-person things, coming out of COVID where everything was done, phone interviews, along those lines. I'm seeing more want to come out for field interview and meet with the client in person, and more independent medical evaluations being scheduled. So it's kind of this return of putting eyes on the insured.
So we're returning to the way things were in 2020?
2019, 2019, prior to February 2020.
Now there could be a lot of people watching this video who have no idea what that means when you throw out these terms of field interview or IME. So let's first talk about what is a field interview and what should someone expect?
A field interview is going to be done one of two ways, right? It could be initial intake. Say you file a claim and the insurance company is going to have one of their actual representatives meet with you. Or you've been on claim for a while and it's a third-party company that's hired by the insurance company to come out. So these are people that are going to want to meet you in your home to sit and, these interviews can last hour, 2 hours. I've sat through some that are very long. And they're just asking a lot of questions about the claim. And especially, I think one of the ones that are most concerning, or the ones you have to be careful about, are the ones that are done through a third-party company, because the person they send out knows nothing really about your case. They just have a list of questions they have to ask. And they're going to go through a bunch of stuff that you've already provided to your insurance company, but it's ripe for the possibility of saying something in that setting that's not consistent with what you've said on a claim form. And that's where an insurance company, if they can try to say, well, if you're not being honest and truthful here, are you being dishonest as to how bad your condition is and things like that. So I think those are the ones that get a little trickier. Plus, when it's a third-party company coming out on rep for the insurance company, that usually is also signaling, in my opinion, more of a we are reviewing the claim to see if there's a basis to deny it. So that one and the uptick in those, I think is something that people really need to be, concerned about.
And I'm also seeing a lot more requests, and then people call us or submit questions on our website saying Hartford, Guardian, Sun Life, MetLife, they want to do these interviews with me. Does this mean they're looking to cut me off? And does it mean they're looking to cut them off, or is it normal course of business type stuff? Which one do you tend to see?
To an extent, it could be normal course of business. Certain companies, MetLife is really well known. Unum does a lot of them. Sun Life, very common. But I do know that a lot of those reviews are happening, especially if you're going from a transition from, the definition of disability being you can't do your own job to can you do any job. So I think any time an insurance company wants to sit down and have a meeting with you, you always have to think that they may be looking to cut you off. That's my personal opinion. That's not to say it always happens, but you do have to be at least on guard that they could be trying to find some basis or reason to deny the claim.
What are your thoughts about the timing of video surveillance taking place of a claimant prior to the request of this field interview?
Yeah, so normally in field interviews, unlike an independent medical evaluation where it's kind of like day before, day of, day after, field interviews may be sometime prior, a month prior. If they're going to do video surveillance, they want to get an idea of things going on, and sometimes they do that video surveillance before they even notify they want to do the field interview. That was always been a common tactic with Hartford. They do that as the first step in a denial. The field interview, they're asking you questions about stuff, and then they all of a sudden, after you give the answer, like, well, we did do some surveillance and we saw X, Y, and Z. So it really kind of depends. There's no clear-cut answer. I believe that if they want to meet with you and discuss with you, and this isn't something that can't be done over the phone relatively easily, you have to be a little more, on guard.
And also in terms of surveillance, I know video is one where they clearly hire a third-party person to go out and watch you and follow you, and we have other videos where we talked about where they can follow you, where they can't follow you, but basically they can follow you everywhere. They just can't go inside your house. But what's another type of surveillance that you commonly see being done by these disability insurance companies?
I would say since COVID, one of the biggest ones, social media. So many people share so much online, and a lot of times it's very common. People share the good things that are happening. You create this kind of false image of how things are good, and the insurance company will eat on that. They will go on that, look at it, and then use that against you. And I think a lot of times, in their opinion, the insurance company's opinion, they get more valuable information from what you're posting on social media. Because even if you try to argue, well, that's not really how I always feel, that's just this and that, you've still sowed some level of concern as to your credibility, and that can be damaging. And you and I, we had a case not too long ago where someone had a travel blog, and a lot of what they discussed in their blog, they amplified it to make it better to read. But the insurance company, that was the basis really for the denial. We say you can't do this, but you said you could go do all these amazing physical things while on vacation. Why can't you work? So you really have to be, concerned about what your presence is on the internet. And some people say, oh, my stuff is private.
Right.
But I've seen it where they're able to, through friends that you have and connections, go to that person's page to get information. So, you really have to be careful about what's being posted.
I was just going to mention that they'll go to friends, they'll go to family members, because say it's somebody, and then say we're representing a wife. They'll go to the husband. If they know you have children, they'll look up your children, and then they'll see you. So they're going to go the 6 degrees of separation. I mean, they're going to go all over the place to really dig in, because it's free. It's just out there in the public domain. It's free information to dig into your life, and many people, it's become a norm to post, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever it is. Now, people go, well, I deleted everything, or I'll just delete it. Now, we can't tell anyone to delete anything. In subpoenas down the road in litigation, from what I understand, some of these companies still have some of this stuff.
Just because you deleted doesn't mean it's disappeared and it's not still there.
Right.
I'm sure everyone's had an experience with their phone, and their phone will tell them, oh, remember this memory from way back when? And I'm like, oh, I didn't, but I don't even remember that picture being in my phone anymore.
Right.
So there's always a fingerprint out there somewhere.
Okay, so we talk about this trend of more of the companies sending people out. It also could just be a simple phone call that they call, but usually they have done some kind of background thing, and there is a way to prepare yourself for that so that you don't get yourself in trouble. And it all goes into how you handle the claim, what you put in claim forms, what you tell your doctors in the medical records. And when someone is getting called to be interviewed or in person, they should expect that the company has already gone through all of their medical records, has looked at their claim forms, and is looking for something specific. Now, I know that with all of our clients, we would never let them attend one of these on their own. We would almost never let them come into their home. We always set a separate location for the interview to take place. And one of the things that I commonly do is I look at the policy and say, does it even require them to do this interview? Because candidly, if it doesn't require them to physically meet with them, then let's get on the phone possibly as a courtesy, because we're not looking to hide anything, or send us the policy language that says that they have to come meet with you in person. If not, send your questions in writing, which you always do with claim forms and all that, and we'll answer them. This way we have no he said, she said information going on.
There's no concern about what was said.
And also when they have field interviews, we often like to record them or video them, because with these claims that are governed by ERISA, which is 90% of these claims, if they deny the claim, we may not even have, we likely won't even have the opportunity to depose or question that person that came for the interview. So it's just a function of what the interviewer wrote down and versus what the claimant thinks they told them. So there's so many traps that a person can get stuck with or fall into from these interviews that they can be very dangerous, and you need to be prepared. Another trend you talked about was the independent medical exams, which are called independent, but they're compulsory. Almost every policy says that those are required. You do have to go to those, or you're in breach of the terms of the disability policy, which could then forever forbid you from getting any benefits whatsoever. So you don't want to not go to these, but there are strategies, and we have specific IME videos. But why do you see it as an uptick in 2023 for more of these being requested?
Well, I think now, when we're seeing the COVID national emergency ending in May of this year, the insurance companies are back to business as usual. They'll spend the money to send the person out to a doctor. Now, it's not to say they're always going to, right? Some people say they didn't even have a doctor examining. Well, they don't have to, but if they want to, you have to go. And usually the IME, if they're sending you for an IME, they're not buying something, right? Either, they're saying, well, his doctors, your client's doctor are saying X, Y, and Z. Our doctors are saying this. Let's do an IME to split the difference. And then also in these ERISA policies, one of the big things is this idea of when you do get in court, having to try to establish they acted arbitrary and capricious, they didn't have a reasonable basis to deny the claim. Well, if they send you to an IME and that IME says, oh, I think this person could work, that's really elevating the likelihood of an insurance company winning. So they're using as a tactic to stack things in their favor. I have a recent case right now that's pending. They did an IME. The client hired me shortly after the IME, and then we did a bunch of stuff afterwards to kind of build it up. And it went back, and his insurance company is submitting the information back to the IME doctor, and it's kind of this weird thing. The IME doctor don't want to say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. It's more of a, you didn't have all the information type of stuff. So presenting it. Now, if we had been able to do that prior to the IME, which usually for clients of ours, if there's a request for an independent medical evaluation, say it's a person with bad back, well, we can get our own, say, functional capacity testing or some other type of examination done to kind of steal the opportunity that they may have to do it. But an IME is almost certainly they're looking for a reason to deny. And then it's also a matter of seeing who the doctor is, then researching the doctor. Some names are very, very familiar to us. Sometimes people will say, oh, my claim was denied by so-and-so. They sent me to this doctor. It's this specialty, and you can name one or two doctors who it may have been. Right. Or, I am also seeing this, as of late at least, where they're sending them to actual practitioners. These are people who make a living treating patients. They work in hospital systems. They have a patient base. And I feel that a person may get a fairer shake because this person is, but I'm also trying to think what the play from the insurance company is. Is this a way to take away the argument of this guy's an insurance hack on it? And what they're sending to those doctors, to those IME doctors, they're not letting the IME doctor necessarily know what you do for a living, what the policy language is. Hey, doctor, what do you think this person can physically do? And if that doctor says, well, they may only be limited to sedentary work, which is severe restrictions when you think about it, what you're physically capable of. Well, that doctor says, hey, I gave this person pretty bad restrictions, but the insurance company uses that to steamroll a denial. So that can get very, very, tricky. And I think if you've gotten a notice for an independent medical evaluation, you need to be legitimately concerned about the status of your case.
And the last issue is the trend with, are you seeing more denials in 2023 than you think you were seeing in 2022?
I would say if we take a look at from the second half of 2022 to where we are now, April, I think that's when the real uptick started happening. No longer were these things, I haven't been able to get to my doctor because of COVID, and the insurance companies were being a little more, okay, we'll give you more time in between reporting. Now they're just hit the ground running, and I really think leading into the second half of 2023, now that the national emergency is ending, which is also going to have ramifications about when appeals are due again, if there's a claim now, I think we're going to see an uptick in reviews and denials. I really do. I think that a lot of carriers are maybe sitting on an excess of files because they've been trying to give the benefit of the doubt. But now this is ending, I think there's going to be a more cold, brutal, efficient look at what's on claim and what can be denied.
I agree with you for the trends for 2023, and the best thing for people out there is to keep watching our videos with these tips to protect your long-term benefits. And if you have any questions, feel free to go on our website, ask us questions. We're always here to answer your questions and provide you with any kind of free consultation with regard to your claim. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you.